Hello, family and friends. I am excited. Welcome to 196 Days Around the World of Family Life across the globe. I'm super excited to have landed in the nation called Botswana. Now, Botswana was a country I studied about 10 years ago, and that was a time in which life expectancy was about 38. They've been ravaged by HIV, but I'm amazed that Botswana has really grown to become one of the best countries to live in Africa. As a matter of fact, it's almost said that there's zero corruption in Botswana. Now, what do you need to know about this amazing country? Botswana is a landlocked country in southern Africa, has a landscape defined by Kalahari Desert and the Okavango Delta, which becomes a lush animal habitat during the seasonal flood. The massive Central Kalahari Games Reserve, with its fossilized river valleys and undulating grassland, is home to numerous animals, including giraffes, cheetah, hyena, and wild dogs. So, which means he has a wildlife park that is natural. Botswana is a landlocked and arid country bordering on South Africa, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and Zambia. Every one of the many ethnic cultures in Botswana has its own heritage of myth, legend, ritual, values, and traditional artistic norms. However, the overlapping similarities between the different components create a homogeneous culture, giving birth, giving it a rich and colorful patchwork of the diverse whole. Marriage rites and ceremonies differ considerably between the tribes, but they are all acceptable in the many intermarriages taking place. Setswana, originally the tongue of the Tswana group, is the official language of Botswana, with English the main business language. Various Tswana tribes speak dialects of Setswana, while others speak unrelated languages at home but use Setswana in everyday life. Botswana people are proud, strong people with a sense of unity, linking them all to the democratic and peaceful country. The dominant religion is Christianity, with a number of sects represented. One of the things you find in Botswana is the word Ubuntu. Ubuntu means I am because you are. There is no me without you. Whatever I do against you, I do against myself. And that has defined family life in Botswana. Here is 6 facts you need to know. Number one, there are strong family ties. A compound, Loluwapa, typically houses a family or multi-family unit, including foster children and occasionally non-kin dependents or servants. It is headed by the senior male or female if she's single. The eldest, sometimes the youngest married son, often reside with his wife and children in his parents' compound and eventually assumes leadership of it. Younger married sons build their compounds near those of their parents, and co-wives maintains their own compound, adjacent to one another or separated by those of married sons and unmarried daughters. Grandparents may live with their children or occupy a nearby compound. If the latter is the case, they usually maintain close links with their children and eat from the same sport. Over 40% of rural households in Botswana are now headed by single mothers. So it's a country in Africa that is breaking out of the norm. Number two, the socialization and parenting. Both sexes nurture children in Botswana, but they care on bringing up largely the responsibility of women and other children, particularly girls. So you can see. So the girl child is actually raised to raise other children and maybe babysit and back. I mean, that's a common sight in Botswana. Grandmothers devote much time to child rearing. It's often believed that a young mother is not ready to entirely care for her own children. An elder female can take on the responsibility, either keeping children with them regularly or occasionally, or intervening and training the young mother. As young women increasingly pursue employment or education, infants and children are sent to live with their grandmothers. I don't know whether that's counterproductive or it's productive, but it seems to have worked for that country. Now, when it comes to gender parity in Botswana, decades of labor migration, declining marriage rate, new laws guaranteeing women's civil rights, and the modern economy, almost half of all households in Botswana are headed by women. Wow. Western education, the modern economy, and civil service position have all provided venues for women to improve their position, but women's cash income in both rural and urban lags far behind men, and women's overall income is more dependent on non-cash items. Women have had trouble breaking into national politics except in supporting roles. But in 1999 elections, several women were elected to the National Assembly and others were appointed to seats. And one of the elected positions in the House of Chiefs was taken by a young woman. Women now hold prominent ministerial positions. So they practice what looks like gender equality, even though it's not totally equal. The gap is still in there, but compared to other African countries, I think they have made a lot of giant strides. Now, when it comes to marriage in Botswana, the various ethnic groups have different marriage traditions In past practices, most groups permitted polygyny, which is the taking of more than one wife. A girl's first marriage will be arranged by a family, and marriage involved bride wealth or bride service. Swan marriages in the past were best described as a process, attaining the full definition of marriage often only after many years. Steps in the process included requesting marriage, preliminary exchanges, sexual relations, but not cohabitation. You can see how their culture differs from other culture. Children, a public celebration, the establishment of household within the man's compound, and bride wealth. Bride wealth is still common, polygyny less so. And while most marriages are still negotiated by family members, the spouses choose each other. Most Botswana registers a civil marriage as well as conduct marriage ceremonies according to customs at home, and many have a church wedding too. People may marry according to the customary property provisions or civil community property arrangement, but in both, the woman is disadvantaged and the husband is likely to control the property. So you can see, based on the law, it puts the women in a disadvantaged position. But they have an interesting, marital rights. If you go, especially into the hinterland and the villages, you will find this marital rights, marriage rights, still in force. Very interesting. I mean, but it could be long because it's in stages. Now you can see how interesting culture is from nation to nation. Remember, we're not looking at right or wrong. We are looking at the culture for what it is and how you can be an effective family life professional by interfacing with culture. Because if you lack respect for a culture and you're not willing to embrace or accept the culture, you can never influence the culture. Number 5 is marriage brings respect in Botswana. Once boys and girls approach the age of marriage, they will be kept in separate quarters. The elders believe that this move prevented the boys and girls from falling into temptation. The boys will attend Boguera, where they will learn about the many duties and man's responsibility in family. The girls will attend Bojali, where they will be taught what marriage entails for the woman and how to be responsible wives. According to Botswana traditions, single men and women of marriageable age are not treated with as much respect as their married counterpart. Single women are shunned, while bachelors are not allowed to attend events and meetings that are specially for married men. For example, bachelors do not attend patlu, an event where potential in-laws visit the girl's home to ask for a hand in marriage. The interesting thing is, for you to work in Botswana, they already have a structured, premarital culture. So you can actually take on the premarital culture and infuse your own culture, or help them design a curriculum where you now infuse the curriculum that can set them free from the limitation and bring gender parity and respect for everyone, and make them create a team-based marital system. Very easy. It's a small country. So if you want to work in there, you're welcome, because you can actually do a lot and help that country. Number 6, when it comes to gender-based violence in Botswana, over 67% of women have experienced abuse, which is over double the global average. Gender-based violence undermines the health, dignity, security, and autonomy of its victims, yet it remains shrouded in a culture of silence and normalization. Of course, you know why. Now, the country guarantees the protection of fundamental rights of the individual, and that's one of the best human rights records in Africa. Despite government's effort to improve gender equality, strong societal perception continue to hamper equal rights for men and women. Botswana has neither signed nor ratified the protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the rights of women in Africa, and the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women was ratified by Botswana on the 13th of August, 1996. Botswana has long been facing a gender-based violence crisis, with 1 in 3 women having experienced abuse in their lifetime, according to 2018 National Relationship Study. The World Population Review 2019 places Botswana as the second country on rape cases at 92.9 per 100,000 citizens, said Minister. That's the current minister in charge of family affairs in Botswana. So you realize that there's a lot to do when it comes to gender parity and gender-based violence in Botswana, and that's one way you can come in to work with them and help them create intervention that can help them. But you can't create intervention if you don't have the tools. That is why you need to take the course, family systems engineering certification program. If you're listening to this from Botswana, you can get a course if you go to school.iampraiseforward.com, or you can go to iampraiseforward.com and look for this course. There is a certification course that is used across Africa, right? So it can help you work with people in Botswana and transform their reality and create a team-based family system that will transform the society and restore peace and order. So what will you be willing to do to improve family life in Botswana, and how can you assist families in this nation that corruption is almost at the minimal level? I say kudos to Botswana based on the giant stride you recorded over the years. I'll come your way again tomorrow, and I will be in Brazil. You don't want to miss that session. Follow me on Instagram, The Family Life Therapist. I love you and I celebrate you. Bye bye.